Hi folks, Larry Taylor here, coming to you from very hot and humid Cincinnati, Ohio, during yet another day when the air quality is reportedly very poor, and people with lung issues are encouraged to stay indoors, and people are encouraged to not drive or carpool or socially distance carpool, I guess. Fill their cars up after 8 o'clock, not use outdoor machinery, which has very little environmental regulation to it. Lawn tractors, power mowers, hedgers and trimmers and blowers and all the other stuff, chainsaws that we have that run on little gas engines and add to the pollution. Pretty much everybody ignores those guidelines. Just like, at least around here, pretty much everybody, and I shouldn't say, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, the vast majority of people, that would be a true statement, are ignoring social distancing. They're ignoring the strong request to wear a mask when you're in public, because we're in the middle of a pandemic which is transmitted very easily between human beings just by talking to somebody, or just by being in the vicinity of someone who is talking. You can be infected with the virus. And not only that, but the person who infects you can be asymptomatic. They may not have any symptoms whatsoever. They may not know, they probably don't know that they have COVID-19. Extremely dangerous illness that makes people very, very, very sick and kills people of all ages. And yet we find ourselves in a culture where so many people are either willfully ignorant, or they are extremely selfish in refusing to socially distance and refusing to wear a mask when they are out around other people. And businesses giving into economic pressure, most of them doors wide open. It'd be nice if you'd wear a mask, but we don't require it, and so 85–90% of the people do not. It's a sad situation. It's a selfish world that we live in. And as I go around in the hospitals that I work in as a chaplain, as I talk to people who are patients or family members, loved ones of patients, and as I talk to nurses and physicians, to a person, they are appalled at the lack of human empathy in our culture. Now, I don't think it's quite this bad everywhere. I was visiting with my son a while back, who lives in Chicago, and at least in the areas of Chicago where I was with him, everyone that I saw seemed to be taking the whole thing very seriously. Social distancing was being carefully enforced by every business that was open. He and I went into a small grocery store, and there was a young woman seated in the entrance, uh, wearing mask and gloves, and counting the number of people who came in, making sure that there weren't more than a certain number within the store, making certain that everyone who came into the store was wearing a mask, that everyone who came into the store was staying socially distant. I don't know what her number was, but it was a low number. There weren't a lot of people in the store, and once they hit that number, no one else was allowed to come in until someone left, and she was there regulating that. She asked Josh and I if we were together, and we said yes, and she said, well, that's nice, but you can't be together in the store. You have to stay in separate aisles. You have to stay a good 6 feet apart at all times. I appreciated that. The coffee shops that we went to, people were masked up and socially distant in lines outside, coming in one at a time to the store to order, to a barista who was behind plexiglass. And once the barista had made the coffee drink, then it was, passed along. Went through a drive-through where the person that took the money changed her gloves every time between handling the money or the credit card of the person in front of me, and then again between me and the person who was behind me. So not everyone is being as selfish as what I see around here, but for those that are, it surprises me. It breaks my heart. And it particularly concerns me when I see people who claim to be Christian and yet seem to have no particular concern for their neighbor, when Jesus taught us very plainly to love our neighbors as ourselves. Our faith is of very little value unless it translates into actions which are kind and loving. I am praying that God will make me into that kind of a believer.